Hey, everybody, and welcome in to an episode of Vox and Jed Fight About It, the podcast where we totally didn't forget to record an episode yesterday, and we're totally paying the price for it. Um,
Oh man.
so it's for anyone viewing this later. We usually record these on Saturday nights, and then we publish them on Sunday. This week, our streaming schedule was way out of whack because I had a 24-hour stream, which we'll put a pin in and we'll talk about in a little bit. But this week we had a really weird schedule, and I hit the weekend, and I was like, the weekend, a time where I don't have to stream, no projects to work on. Wow. And then I completely forgot about the podcast, and so did Jed. And so he didn't record it yesterday, and we were supposed to, and now it's Sunday, and then we sat down to record this. Jed, I woke up to, messages from Jed and missed calls of, Vox, the podcast, fuck. And, that reminded me, I totally would have gone the whole weekend without remembering. But I woke up and I sat down and I started recording and I sounded really groggy and tired for 10 minutes of it. But we recorded it, and we recorded an hour of a really good episode. It was 48 minutes. An hour of a really good episode where we went in depth about a lot of things and just kind of sat and talked, mostly off topic list even, which is really cool and good. And then we lost it because I glanced over and noticed that even though I loaded my Discord or loaded my OBS scenes, I reset my OBS scenes to how they were 2 weeks ago, for some reason my audio sources are all out of whack. And they were out of whack in other scenes too, so I probably should have checked. But I expected that the podcast scene would be as I left it. And I double checked all the visual stuff, and I double checked the hierarchy, and I didn't see anything missing. But except the Discord audio just simply was not recording. So that's where we're at. We are an hour deep in, or we just lost an hour of a podcast episode just now. But we're here, and we're doing things, and we're happy to have a podcast episode. We're just gonna have to go long today from our perspective, but from your perspective, it'll be the clean 2 hours. So hello, Jade.
Wow. Hello. So funny story about this recording that we just did. Vox, I shit you not, I have the time code right here. 7 minutes in, spoiled something that he was not supposed to talk about for Willow. So that's that was a very funny thing of just flat out instantly.
We were talking about scheduling things, and I happened to just start listing off events that I had coming up, and one of those events happened to be the launch date for season 3 of Willow. We're not supposed to talk about that, so I'm kind of glad that version of the episode is not coming out.
I just think it's a funny story.
Thank me later, Bush, because I totally would have published it.
Yeah, no, he was like, I'm not gonna edit it. I'll just go with this. So yeah, we're here now. We're here, and today we are recording late.
Yeah, and I would like to mention, Jed, real quick for your benefit. We're not going to be making any more references going forward to that previous podcast episode that no one ever will get to see. But let's start it off. Let's kick it off. But the first thing I want to talk about, speaking of Willow-related things, let's talk about Console Craft. Let's talk about Console Craft. Console Craft is over. Console Craft is fucking Jover. It ended officially, lore-wise, it ended a week ago on Saturday or Sunday. Sunday. But then it ended this July 3rd on my birthday. And we did a little world tour, and we sat around and we played a couple of games on the server. And we just bid it adieu, and then a world download was published the next day, and I snatched that shit up as fast as I could. First I want to give some passing thoughts though for Console Craft, since it's this is the last time we'll get to talk about it. So hats off, gentlemen, or hats off, Jed, I guess, because you're the only one in a hat right now. But we're having a funeral here of just I don't know. Console Craft was a lot of fun. The most fun, hands down, I've had on a Willow project thus far. That's for certain. It was a great time, and I had a great time socializing, and everybody was so close. Everybody was so close by, and so willing to interact with each other, and so non-clicked. New cliques formed, old cliques stayed some of the time, but new cliques formed with new members. And there was some mixing and mingling that happened, and I'm very happy that some mixing and mingling happened. But yeah, no, we had a great time doing great things, and I'll forever miss it. It was genuinely one of the best like month-wide things we've done, and it was my first real like honest like full dive into doing lore, and I really enjoyed that. That was a lot of
Mhm.
fun. And I got to bring Jed in, and I'm sure Jed has some thoughts. I'm sure Jed has some thoughts on the project as a whole.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give him space to do that. Jed, take the floor a little bit here.
So console craft was a really good time. I had a great time with console craft. However, it's kind of bittersweet that it's over because man, it was also one of the most
It
stressful
was a
months
lot of work.
of our lives. Cause Jesus Christ, streaming 6 days a week was, oh my god, a lot. Um, it was a lot. It wasn't for very long, but it is just difficult to schedule around a 6 day a week schedule. Just in general.
You
But
actually got
overall,
one
like,
day you could put things on.
yeah. And that one day, I think we were like the podcast was going out, so it was like, okay, well, it's nonstop. There's the grind set never stops to the public eye. But man, I may have been stressed out, and I may be like a little bit happy it's over, just to have a send off for it. But it was one of the best months of my life. It's something that I would never take back, despite how stressful it was, just because of how much I enjoyed it. Um, and like, thanks so much to Bush and everybody who put it together, and Criminelli who took over the
Of
management
course.
later. It is a very fun time, and I had a very good time with it. And it's Jover. Um, it's Jover
It's
for me at
hard to
least.
believe. It's genuinely hard to believe. It's genuinely hard to believe that the server is gone now, and that like because like I feel like I could load up console craft right now, and technically I can in the world download, but I feel like I
Yeah.
could log in right now to the server, and I know I can't. Like logistically I know it to be over, but like my head just hasn't quite caught up with the rest of it yet, in that it is in
Hmm.
fact over, because I just keep moving, dude. I just keep moving is what's happening. And so like I push, and I got to work on other things immediately of just like, great, awesome. I've got a while before the next season of Willow starts. I need to find things to fill that on stream, and I need to, more importantly, like the server ended and I immediately started planning my birthday stream, like right toward the end of the server. So I got to full dive into planning that, and then trying to fill out the rest of the next like however long until Willow 3 begins, roughly a month. I think I'm allowed to say that. I know that's been said already,
A month to 2 months.
because
Yeah.
anywhere between like a month or two. So we're looking at that, and it's just like I gotta fill like anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks of content. I gotta come up with some stuff. And I'm not having a hard time, by the way. I'm not having a hard time filling that content at all. I just like that's where my head went immediately, because again, the grind never stops, and I like that the grind never stops. I like being able to put out a new piece of content literally every single day if possible. Like,
Yeah.
but that also means typically I'm either going to be cramming a lot into one day, or like cramming a lot into like 3 to 5 days, or like doing something every day, which is good for me. It's very good for me to keep pace. And it's making time absolutely fly during like a period in my life where I'm doing a lot of waiting around, like for
Yeah.
like waiting to move, and waiting for like everything to line up in my life that I don't really want to get into, because there's a lot of stuff I'm waiting on, for lack
Yeah.
of a better way of putting it. Mostly the move, but I'm hoping that I can cram that time with streams and content and fun stuff, and then by the time the end of the year comes around, it'll be move day, and I'll have barely even
Yeah.
noticed. You know, um,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's been a very good time with console craft, and it has been a very busy time for both of us. And I think that the move coming up, it's I can't believe that we're now 6 months away from the
6
move.
months or less, even. I might
Yeah.
be moving. Well, you've settled on January is when you're coming,
Yeah.
but for us, it's like whenever the house is done, you know.
Yeah.
Because for reference, my husband's grandparents are giving us their old home, now that they're moving into like a new place, and so they're building a new place though, and that takes time. It's taken a few years because they're just hiring various contractors and things, and so that takes a while. But like once that's done and they move, which it won't take them long to move because it's literally on the same plot of land. It's just like
Yeah.
an acre like or less off in like that direction, like out the back door. So it's like, it won't take them long to move. It'll take them like a week or less, and then we can start to move in. And then so it's just like it's whenever they're done. So I might genuinely someday between late September and early January, I might send my husband over there to go hang out with his grandparents because he likes to spend time with his family. Novel idea. And he might come home and go, "Hey, move-in day's like next week." And it's like, "Okay, well, all right then. I'm ready to jump and run."
All right, let's go now.
But like,
yeah.
So like that's a factor along with just like, dude, I'm making so many things. I don't know what day of the week it is. Case in point, we forgot to do the fucking podcast yesterday.
Yeah.
Like it's all so involved and so like there's such a carousel of things that I can barely take the time to acknowledge console craft and acknowledge that it's over because the next thing is already here, like the next thing down the line is like working. Okay, console craft is over, awesome, phew, okay, birthday stream is over, done, awesome, cool, what's the next thing? They're planning a Cobblemon thing that might start this month. Sure, I'll do that. Bam.
Yeah.
And that's the next major project up on my docket, is if they decide to doing that. But otherwise, I'm gonna have a pretty chill month. If not, I'm doing a lot of survival single player for the new update. And I'm doing a lot of like multiplayer games. Like we did a TF2 stream last week. We did what else have we been doing lately? Raft. We've been doing a lot of Raft.
We're about to finish up with the Raft.
We're gonna be done with Raft week after next if we don't take another break week, which I'd be fine with.
We're gonna be playing Half-Life Decay.
We're gonna be playing Half-Life Decay, which I think this time around we can knock out in one stream. I'm just imagining the viewer perspective on that because for reference, podcast listener, because I don't expect everybody to be up on my content from years ago. We played Half-Life Decay. I have been striving to play every mainline Half-Life game, every mainline Half-Life campaign through on stream. And I spaced them out, so it's taken me a couple of years. But I finished Half-Life 1, and then I immediately jumped to its expansions, and I did the expansions, and once I was coming up on the end of the expansions, like I was doing my final Blue Shift stream, and I got a hold of Jed, and I was like, "Hey, Decay is a 2-player thing. I guess I could maybe do it alone, but do you want to be in on that? Because you're a guy I could just drag in for that kind of thing." And you were like, "Yeah, I'll do it." And so we played it, and we put out a like very edited YouTube video about it, and like a edited gameplay highlight thing, and that exists, and that was all the fun parts. But if you watch the actual like couple of streams we did of it, it falls apart so fast because the missions are single run missions where you have to do the entire mission in one go, which can be fun.
And if either of you die, it resets.
But if either of you die, it resets the entire mission for both of you, and you have to do it all again. And so it's just like, you know how Half-Life is. Death is going to happen. Source games, maybe I'm just not very good, but I die frequently, and so does Jed, and so it's just like we're running back and forth here a little bit.
Yeah, we've been doing the same mission for 2 hours now.
Eventually, we gave up on it on stream, and we're like, okay, fine. I'll come back to this someday, I think. But for now, I have to leave it. We're moving on to Half-Life 2. And I moved on to Half-Life 2, and I did Half-Life 2, and Half-Life 2 episode 1, and then episode 2. And then I started Half-Life Alyx, and that's been very sporadic because VR is a bitch to set up and maintain setup.
Yeah.
And so, like, I have a playlist, if you want to see, on my Vox channel that's literally all the Half-Life games. And this is important to the story. I'm not just plugging for no reason. So I'm picturing the person who, like, oh, he played through Half-Life. I'd like to see him play through Half-Life. But Half-Life has been such a constant in my streaming that, like, you can watch my, like, streams evolve through that every Half-Life game playlist. Like, over the course of Half-Life 1, you can find me catching my early footing. And then through, like, the expansions, too. And then, like, the Decay stuff, me and Jed finding out our, like, dynamic on stream.
Yeah, because that was one of the
And
first
then
streams that we did together.
there was a gap, and then Half-Life 2 comes a little later, so there's been like a time skip to when I'm a little more set in stone with what I'm doing. And then by the time you get up to Alex, it's like I think the first or maybe even the second Alex stream, I was talking about how happy I was to get into Moist SMP.
Yeah.
Like how happy I was that that worked out. So you can get a pretty good read on all of it. But it's gonna be so funny watching that, and then then you'll have a direct Decay stream to compare and see the evolution of mine and Jed's dynamic again in that, you know? And I think that'll be
Mhm.
a lot of fun.
It'll be
I
a
think
good
that'll be a lot
parallel,
of
yeah.
I think it'll be I think that playlist is a lot of fun. I don't ever look at it myself that often, but I looked through it once and I was just like, man, this is such like it's got every style of VOD thumbnail I've ever done in it, all three of them, I think.
Yeah.
Like I haven't iterated on the VOD thumbnails that much because frankly I don't make them to get clicks. I make them for like archival purposes mostly.
Yeah.
You know, and so like I've got like a million thumbnails or like a bunch of different thumbnail designs, like a few different stream layouts on those, you know, and like various things. And that excites me because it's like, oh man, going back to Decay is just going to add to that, I think. And like for the average viewer, it's just like they'll go from anybody watching just Half-Life Decay is gonna see us go from like, all right, you got Hamachi on? All right, cool, I'm joining.
Yeah.
Fuck, we're back in the fucking mission again. All right, we can do it.
God
To
damn it.
just like, hey guys, it's been a couple of years. Let's play some Decay, you know? And I think that's
Yeah.
a really funny. I think that's a very funny clash. But yeah, no, I'm
For
excited to
sure.
play Decay because I think we're both more equipped to handle it this time around. Now that we know what we're getting in for, and yeah, I'm excited. I'm very excited for that.
Yeah. Decay is gonna be a good time. And yeah, and the 24-hour stream was a good time. Going back on that one last time because that's where
Right.
that came from.
We should talk about the 24-hour stream at length because I haven't yet.
Oh
For my
yeah.
birthday, I set up and I did a 24-hour stream. And I wanted to do something big. I did a 24-hour stream and I raised money to get myself out of debt. And I pretty effectively raised a couple $100, you know, only $320 fucking dollars, which is
Yeah.
which is hopefully going to be enough to get me out of the first ever credit card that I ever got, which is like a really high interest rate thing. And that's genuinely all the boost I need is to get out of that first one. Because once I'm out of that first one, I no longer. The issue right now is I'm too broke for 3 credit card payments. I'm not too broke for 2 credit card payments, though. So, you know, I'll no longer be living check to check. Once that credit card payment is out of the way, and I've only got like the 2 larger cards to handle, and then I'll eventually close out the second largest card, and I'll keep another one. I'll keep one open as just
Mhm.
like a card that I will consistently use. You know, because like I can't not have a credit card. I need it in case of emergency, and one credit card will not get out of hand for me. More than one though will totally get out of hand. Eventually, it like will get back out of hand. So the objective is to get all the way out at some point. But the 24-hour stream raised a bunch of money, and we had a bunch of fun. We played a bunch of games. I noticed though, like I found out that Monster Energy Rehab is very good. Sorry, I'm jumping all over the place.
Rehabs are good.
But I kind of hit my lull with it pretty early on of just like we hit like 8 a.m. I had my breakfast. Like I had just taken my breakfast break, so the momentum was slowing. And then I was like, okay, breakfast eaten. Let's do some tier lists because that's the next thing I had because it was kind of like a throwaway thing that I just needed to fill time with. So I was like, let's do some tier lists. And I was like, okay, here's a tier list. Here's a tier list. I'm using like tier list or tier maker live, which is the wrong version of the tier maker website. And so it didn't function as smoothly as the regular tier maker website, and I didn't find out till like halfway through that segment, and then I switched over to tier maker, which made my life a whole lot easier. And that segment started to pick back up, and then I moved on to Jed, and like everything was great. Once me and Jed were in a call, and we were playing some chess and having a decent time, just talking. But there was a point at like during the tier list segment where I was like, oh no, I'm so tired. I'm only at 8 a.m. That's only a third of the way through the stream. I'm not gonna make it to 24 hours. I'm going to pass out at my desk. I'm gonna be a fucking failure. This shit'll suck, dude. I'm going to
Mhm.
completely underperform. But then I hit that stride again once the multiplayer stuff started to kick up, and like the having people around and the like monster energies and the fucking like just like and also just like there was like a second wind I hit where I was like, okay, I'm good to go. And by the end of it I was very tired again. But like I could have popped another energy drink and had another 6 hours easy, I think.
Yeah.
But we played a lot of
I don't think it would
games.
have been easy later, but you could have done it at that point in time.
I
I think
could
you
have
would have like
recovered.
collapsed. But yeah.
I could have recovered after the fact, yeah. But that's the thing is like anything for the show, man. Anything for the show. Genuinely, like I'll do just about anything off camera. Like if I have to puke and I puke off camera, that's great. Like as long as it doesn't interrupt the show, like that's the most important thing. But we played a lot of games. One of the games we played was Among Us, which was a standout thing, at least to me. We had a
Yeah,
good
no,
time with it.
it's gotten really good with the new game modes and the new classes that you could play in those new game modes. It's a much
Yeah.
more enjoyable experience.
I didn't get to like see most of the more interesting ones personally. I got to play some of the like lamer task ones like Noisemaker where the objective is just get murdered. Um but like there are a bunch of fun ones in there. There's a bunch of cool stuff that you can do. Uh and even the base game mode is more fun now that there are more maps. 'Cause the last time I played it was in 2020 when there was one and then three maps. Like they added two maps to it at some point, and frankly those maps aren't the greatest in my opinion. Um but
Hmm.
there were three maps when I stopped playing it, one when I started playing it, and only the base game mode, and that was it. And eventually people started to get tired of playing the game, and I started to get tired of playing the game, and it's just like, okay, well, I'm not really feeling Among Us, and even if I was, we can't get a full lobby for it right now anyway. So, womp womp, I guess
Yeah.
that's out of the question. And then I just didn't touch it, and it became like such a meme joke game that it's like, I'm not suggesting that we play Among Us, and even if we wanted to, there aren't enough people on hand. But coming back to it, it was a lot of fun. I highly
It
recommend if
was.
you are looking for introducing an old game back into your rotation of multiplayer games to play with friends, that you look at Among Us. You have a little look at Among Us, and I think you'll find that it's not a stupid funny joke game. It's a stupid funny joke game that is still genuine,
A
actual
good
good
time.
fun with friends. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Um oh man. I had a very good time with the 24-hour stream and Among Us and Lethal Company. It was good to revisit those games. And it was good to play Fortnite while you like fucking were in a coma in the backseat of a car. I had a good
Yeah.
time with that.
Yeah, no, there was
um
Fortnite was fun too. I started, of course, Fortnite was the final segment of the stream. Which I feel bad about. I kind of wish Console Craft was the last thing. I kind of wish I put Fortnite earlier, just because like the Console Craft after party thing was so long, and those final words to Console Craft felt like a great way to end it. Frankly, it felt
yeah.
like a good way to pop the birthday stream as well. But it was like, all right, Fortnite prologue, let's go,
Yeah.
to like
Yeah,
the
where
quote
they're
unquote
just like, all
main
right,
story. Um,
we're hanging out with Peanuts and Eco now.
and we were having a good time, but like I would just like
Yeah.
Fortnite's like doing a season where they're very car centric on the map, which I love. I very much like the vehicles. Um, and
Yeah.
but like I placed myself in like the back seat where I wouldn't really have to play the game until we came across people to fight. And so I just kind of sat back in my chair and zoned out for like half of that segment and let the other three people in the call make the content for me. Um, and that helped. That kind of helped me pass the time and pass through it without passing out. Um, but there was a lot of good fun to be had in Fortnite aside from like almost falling asleep multiple times. I just like there were multiple times where I remember like you guys were in a gunfight and I was like trying my best to pull forward of just like, okay, I need to lean forward and actually play the game. Get up. And then like I would hear the car taking damage and then I would hear you guys go, I'm jumping out. I'm jumping out. Okay, we're all out. Nope, Vox is still in the car. Vox, get out of the car. Vox, get out of the car. Put in reverse, Terry. Put in reverse. And like the car would just explode with me in it. And I'd go,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, right. And then I'd fucking lock back in for like 10 minutes until we found another vehicle. And then we would repeat.
At the end of the stream, it came down to like Vox and I were driving around in this one car, chasing down another car. I'm normally the driver in like everything. And so it's like, okay, Vox, shoot the car with the Gatling gun. And so it's like, okay, I got this.
was trying.
And I was driving it down, and Vox, we chased that car down for genuinely like 6 minutes, and I ended up just getting out of the car. And
It
just
felt like it.
Fuck it.
It felt like it definitely couldn't be more than a couple minutes. Granted, aiming when you're of sound mind and have had a good night's sleep just beforehand, with the fucking Gatling gun on the car in that game while somebody else is driving around like a fucking maniac, and you're aiming at somebody else who's driving around like a fucking maniac, is very difficult to begin with, because it's like you're moving and the target's moving, and the gun zooms your fucking FOV into nothing, where the gun takes up like half the screen, and so it's just like it's not the best system in the world for the player having to operate it. So like, but like that's no excuse. I was fucking dying, dude. I was like, I'll add that on top of the fact that like I can't aim those normally, let alone, at the end of a 24-hour stream. And everybody was very understanding about the 24-hour bit. About just like, yeah, he's been up all goddamn day. So we'll cut him some slack on kind of just hanging out here,
Yeah. Although you could have done better. You were like, oh, I could be like a normal person and sleep before it, and then you ended up being up for like an extra 7 hours on top.
I couldn't go back to sleep. I woke up at 1 p.m. and I was like, I'm not. I woke up at like, I assume what was 10 a.m. and then was like, I'm not waking up. The sun's still out, like firmly. Like I see the sun through my window, which means we're in the first half of the day. I'm going back to bed because I cannot wake up at 10 a.m. and do a 24-hour stream starting at midnight tonight. So I went back to bed, and I woke up again, like I assume like an hour later, and I was like, oh my fucking god, I need sleep. And I went back to bed, like I like laid my head back down and went back to sleep for like a little bit, and then I woke up a third time, and I was like, okay, this time's for real. Better hope it's not too early, because I have to get up now, because I'm genuinely not going to be able to sleep. And I pulled out my phone, and it was like 1:07, and I was just like, fine, I'm up. I hate that I'm up, but I'm up, And so I spent that time prepping the stream, which, was great, because I didn't forget almost anything when it came to the prep. I prepped it exactly as I planned to prep it, except my planning was a bit scuffed. So that was the problem, was that like there were factors I didn't consider before the setup, and then I did the setup, and I was like, okay, I'm all set, And then the stream starts, and then I realized just how not all set I am. And then, like, thank goodness I'd argue I was, like, 90% of the way there. So it was just like a couple of quick, like, oh, hold on, need a minute. There we go. All right, we're good to go. Just, like, little things like that. And so the whole stream wasn't that scuffed overall. I think it came out just about as good as it could have, given the circumstances. As far as like a first try at a long stream like that goes, I'd consider it a success. I'd consider that a resounding success, and I would do it again. I did mention at the end of the stream that I want to do something bigger and badder for my next stream, or my next birthday stream. So I need to figure out by July next year what the fuck I'm doing for that. To like, I don't know how I'm gonna top it. I know I can though, and I'll find a way.
Yeah, I mean, we'll be in the same house next time, so there's stuff we could do with that.
Yeah, there are things that can be done. I'm thinking of less I do 24 hours and more I do like 4-hour block at the beginning, 4-hour block at the end, and then the rest of it is me basically. I don't know if I'm gonna pass my fucking stream key off to people or what, but like, just because, like, the host feature doesn't exist on Twitch anymore, so I can't just host them.
No, it doesn't.
But I'm thinking of just having people, like, as an opportunity to promo a bunch of the smaller content creators I hang around, giving them like, here's 4 hours on my slightly larger than yours channel. Enjoy. Here's a block that just you can have, and I'll be behind it the entire time organizing it. And then I'll open it in the front and then I'll close it in the back, or out the back, and it'll be a solid cohesive thing. That's the current running idea. I don't know if I don't know if I can commit to that, and I don't know if that's necessarily bigger and badder than what I did this year. I need to find some twist for it, I think. But that's beside the point. 24-hour stream was a whole lot of fun. Do you have any passing thoughts on that?
Not really, other than it was a good time.
Yeah, all right. Okay, speaking of content, though, post console craft, I've been like really like outside of this like carousel of madness when it comes to like one piece of content after the next. I've been sort of reevaluating and trying to find ways to like kick burnout out of being a possibility, because it's not a possibility right now, but it definitely was during console craft, and I was just like, okay, I need to find a way around this. And so I don't really have any hard ways to get around that, other than I've kind of just let up on myself since. And like I'm starting to like treat this whole thing still seriously, but not like with the same level of like, I gotta fucking get this stream out now. I have to make a great stream every time or it's gonna fucking suck. And I still do my best every night. I still do my best, don't get me wrong.
Of course.
But like there are times where it's like, oh no, it's 8:01, not 8 o'clock flat. Fuck, there goes the stream. Let me like hit start streaming and get going, and then apologize profusely when the stream starts. And it's like, no, I'm allowed those gaps. I'm allowed to be a minute late. I am allowed to be imperfect. I'm allowing myself a lot more room for little imperfections. Like, oh, sorry guys, I like this is a big one personally. This doing the podcast a day late accidentally. Like this is a big fuck up. I'll own that. But like anything smaller than this, I'm just like, it's all right. Nobody's scrutinizing to that extent. I am definitely my own worst critic in that regard. And so I need to just lay off a little bit.
Yeah, give yourself some leeway. That's for sure. Especially with like today, where it's like we both forgot about it. We watched fucking Mallrats last night while we should have been recording, and I had a good time with Mallrats.
Oh man, I wanted to talk about the Kevin Smith marathon as a whole, Jed.
Oh,
God. We can, but fuck, man. I didn't clear that with you.
We'll come back to Kevin Smith.
God damn it. No, I want to talk about the whole thing. We'll come back to it.
Yeah.
We'll come back to it, but that's what we were doing last night instead of like work. Instead of like doing the thing we're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, we were having a good time with that, but we'll come back to that. But like this one is just like, it happens, mistakes happen, and like honestly, the difference is going to be probably in like 5 hours of just like, instead of the podcast episode coming out at 3 p.m.
it's at like 8 or 9. Yeah.
So it's like, it's not that bad of a fuck up. Like, it's not like we're getting it out multiple days late. Like, if I had figured it out by tomorrow, I probably would have just said, like, skip a day. But, like, I mean, it's still Sunday. It's not a big deal. But
it's still release day, so we're still clear on that. But do you want to talk about the Kevin Smith thing? Is that what you want to talk about?
I mean, no, I was just saying that's what we were doing offhandedly. I didn't know that you wanted to talk about the Kevin Smith thing, but we have been watching.
It's something we've been doing. We've been watching because I realized Jed had never seen Clerks, because I made a Clerks reference and Jed didn't get it. I can't remember what it was, but I made a Clerks reference. Jed didn't get it, and I was like, "That's Clerks. You never see Clerks?" And Jed goes, "No, I've never seen Clerks. And what the fuck is that?" And I was just like, dude, Kevin Smith, the guy. He did like Dogma. And he did like Mallrats and like Chasing Amy, and it's just like, you haven't seen any of these? And he goes, no, not even a little bit. And it's like, wow, that's shock. Okay, well we got to get around to Clerks. And then Jed proposed after the fact of just like, well, we'll do his entire catalog. We'll go through because it's not that many movies. It's like 7 or 8. We can do that. And I was just like, yeah, we can do that. So we're doing that. And we're 2 movies in. So far we've watched Clerks and Mallrats, and first we'll start with Clerks. How are you feeling about Clerks specifically?
I thought Clerks was very funny. I had a very good time with Clerks in like a can I transport myself into the 90s and like forget about the fact that they are saying like some stuff. And yeah, if you can do that and just remember that like these are shitty people, like these are really awful people. Um,
Okay,
it makes
really
it easy.
awful is a
It makes it
stretch. They're
funny.
not great people, but like
I mean,
awful is like a descriptor I say for like dictators, dog. Like horrible,
that's true.
evil
That's true.
people. When it's like
But like
these people
we're
just like
selling we're
cheat
selling
on their
cigarettes to
partners.
4-year-olds here.
Yeah, no, like I get it. You know, like these are bad
Yeah.
guys. Like the objective is that these are like, you know, not morally correct, just a couple of guys from New Jersey. You know, that's the beginning and end of
Yeah.
it. You know, they're not expected, they're not holding themselves to some higher moral standard, and they're not expecting you to hold them that way either, you know? And so, like,
Yeah. Exactly.
I find almost a joy in the honesty of it, in the honesty of that film, because it was made on a very tight budget. I want to run you through some behind the scenes facts about Clerks.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Smith, while working in the very same store that the movie was shot in, um, bought a camera and bought like the rights to like film in the store and everything. I don't actually think he bought the rights to it. I think what happened was he bought the rights to the store later when they did the Clerks animated series, because they needed to clear the rights to that name. But now Kevin Smith owns the name Quick Stop Groceries. So
Yeah.
that's something. But the thing about it is, he bought everything required to make this movie. And I believe the final budget was only $24,000, and the way he got that money was just by
For his
selling his like comic collection and a bunch of other like various shit he had, and then like saving up wages to fill the rest. Which is a shock, you know? And like that it's in black and white, obviously, and it's not in black and white because of the camera. It is in black and white because of the camera, but the camera can do color. But to get a color version of the film done, like to get it like to get the color like channels put in and everything and have it processed where color will come through on it would have costed like too much. It would have been over budget. So he had to get it in black and
yeah.
white. And he's just running this little film around to film festivals, and it gets picked up by Miramax, which is a subsidiary of the Weinstein Company. Ugh.
Ugh.
Which, you know, whatever. That's very unfortunate. But no, yeah, and he just kicks off his filmmaking career with a bang, and then just keeps fucking making things, and I love that. But no, yeah,
Yeah.
that's where that sits. But no, yeah, any further thought on Clerks specifically?
Clerks, not really, other than like there are like so I got a lot of my humor from like working with Vox's bits, and I realized that the duo in that movie has some bits that are just like, oh, that's very similar to Vox and I, just in the way that they just like get at each other's throats sometimes.
Well, I think that's part of the character is that like I think that's part of the charm of these characters is that literally in our main protagonists Dante and Randall, you can see yourself and a friend in that position very easily. Like
Yeah.
I don't necessarily like I think Kevin Smith and his writing style have had influence on me for certain, but like
Yeah.
I think them as a duo is something special and unique. That like, you know, while it is special and unique that these two men are close friends, and like friends of circumstance, might I say. Because like it's not
Yeah.
clear if they became friends because they both work at the same place. I think they're childhood friends is what they make clear in the movie at some point. But like you could like everybody has a friend that everybody like has a friend where like this is my best friend, you know, whether you say it out loud to each other or not, where it's like me and this guy. If it had to come down to two people, it's me and this guy, you know, when it comes to like our
Mhm.
friend group, you know. And like I think we see ourselves in that as much as like everybody else saw themselves in that, just because of like how real and raw that movie was. Now you don't see yourself in things like, you know, spitting on strangers and fucking like tipping over coffins at funerals and selling cigarettes to
Yeah.
4-year-olds, but like
Yeah.
just in the general dynamic of it. I think that level of absurdity and just how much that movie ties back to itself in like it's very Muppety in that way. Where there are like 7 to 10 running gags in the movie that just never stop. It's
Yeah.
We were talking about Back to the Future. We were watching the Back to the Future trilogy and how like if you pay attention to the first 30 to 45 minutes of the first Back to the Future film, you'll get pretty much every joke in the next two. It's like that,
Yeah.
except, obviously raunchier and very much more compressed. Where it's like, this is an hour and a half movie where, like, an offhanded remark about like shoe polish will like in like the
Shoe
first
polish.
5 minutes will get fucking parroted and brought up for the rest of the movie. It's like, yeah, he made a sign with shoe polish to hang on the front fucking like the front shutters because they won't open, that just says, "I assure you we're open."
Yeah.
And like I'd like, so of course that's a lot of shoe polish. You're gonna smell like, I don't know if you've ever smelled shoe polish, but it sticks. That's a smell that like sticks on you. And so yeah, he probably does weirdly smell like shoe polish for the rest of the day. So it's very funny that they would bring that up. That's a weird off-color example. Or like off-topic example of just like the audience might not get that one. If you haven't seen Clerks, go watch it. It's a lot of fun. And I had a good time with this movie, and I always have a good time with this movie because it's a favorite of mine. But this time around, I enjoyed Clerks a lot. I enjoyed Clerks a lot because it's so grungy and indie. It's so small, and just like, of course, it's a film made on a $25,000 budget in like nowhere, New Jersey. Filmed almost entirely in a convenience store. The one time they had to leave the convenience store to film something, they had to cut the fucking like entire scene from the final film because they couldn't do it, and they had to work around the fact that like, we can't afford to leave the convenience store for more than just getting in the car and driving around the block and back,
or playing fucking hockey on the roof.
Or playing hockey on the roof of said convenience store, which I'd argue is not even really leaving the convenience store necessarily.
No.
Like, that's still on location in the same exact spot. No, yeah. There's a lot about Clerks to like, I think, and there's a lot of raunch to it. I feel there's some terminology that was used that's like, oh man, 1994, huh? But if you can get past that, and none of that stuff is used like in a way that like in this specific movie. I think, if memory serves, none of those phrases are used as derogatory as much as just like, yeah, that's just kind of what they called that group of people at the time. Because there are some comments about people who are intersex, where it's just like the terminology was not very clear at the time, so I could see how somebody, like, not that I'm making excuses, because it's still fucked up to say that shit, especially in the modern day, but in the modern day, we have access to a lot more resources and a lot more ability to inform ourselves of just like, oh, these are the words we don't use to refer to these people, even though they've been used medically in the past, and these are the words that are okay to use. Here are the, like, we have the access that we need to these minority groups, and these minority groups have the access to the public eye that they need to be able to go, hey, we don't like being called that. I know, like, not everybody's saying it because they hate us, but, like, people who hate us say it, and we really, really don't like it. Can we use a different term, please? And so, like, at this stage, if you have access to the internet and you live in the current year, you have no excuse. You have no excuse for your ignorance in that way. But when we get to a stage like 1994, it's like, I don't know, we were in like a different time progressively. Like that's as far back where I go, well, it was a different time. Where it's like, they genuinely did not really have that much access to the information needed to inform oneself about like how to refer to intersex people in a way that they wouldn't find offensive. Yeah,
the only like actual problematic part about that is the way that they were referring to like intersex people in a way that it's like, haha, let's watch this like porn film like, with them in it. Because it's gross and weird.
Because like in the same way that you would talk about a freak show. Yeah, in that context, exactly. Yeah, it was a little odd. You know,
But
it was very
like,
off color, and I didn't appreciate it. But every other gag in the movie holds up to time. Just about every other gag
absolutely,
in the movie holds up to time. You know,
yeah,
and again, it's a look at a racier period. It's very of its time. You know, and that doesn't give it the excuse to be that way as much as just like I don't know. I give it the slightest pass in the world. You know,
yeah.
for those reasons. But moving on from Clerks, Clerks we watched about a week ago,
Mm-hmm.
and then we did Mallrats. We did Mallrats last night when we were supposed to be recording the podcast,
Mm-hmm.
famously. How are we feeling about Mallrats? How are we feeling about Mallrats on its own in a vacuum?
Mallrats was more enjoyable. It was a pretty good time. It was a bit more raunchy. Um, if you care about the spoilers for the movie that came out 30 years ago,
Really, a
uh,
lot less, a lot more raunchy, you'd say.
I mean, the end of the movie, the conclusion of one of the characters
Okay,
is
yeah,
blasting a tape of
showing a sex
him
tape on
fucking a
screen.
15-year-old.
Yeah,
Like,
no, that's fucked up. But I'd say like that scene aside, I'd say it's far less raunchy than
yeah,
Clerks was. Like in
yeah.
its dialogue and in what it was
Dialogue
willing to
wise,
show.
yeah.
Actually, we got to see boobs in this movie, but
We got a lot
we
of
got to see
boobs.
a whole pussy in the previous movie for like 1 second. So, you know, on like a
On a
magazine page,
magazine.
like and in like
Yeah.
blurry, like not like 240p black and white, you know. So
Yeah.
what can you say? But like we got to see boobs a couple times in this movie. But Mallrats, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Mallrats was overall I think it was pretty good. I liked that it ended with some sort of better conclusion than Clerks, cuz Clerks kind of just ended with a these two people are like kind of shitty. Anyway, moving on.
These guys kind of suck, and they had a very like weird day today. They will go on to be this way indefinitely now. Goodbye, audience. Like that's just how that movie
Yeah.
ends. Now, I want to talk about the original conclusion to Clerks and how do we feel about that? Because originally it was shot that during the last couple. Again, if you care about like Kevin Smith film spoilers and you want to watch these movies yourself, maybe tune out for a few minutes. But like the original ending of the movie concluded with a robber coming in, shooting Dante dead where he stood at the fucking counter, and that was the end of the movie. Cut to black.
Yeah.
How do we feel about that as an ending to this fucking movie?
That's definitely not what I would
It's a
call
lot
a
more
good ending.
poignant. It's not good. It's a lot more poignant. It is like an ending, though. I feel like the ending we got for Clerks was very much just like taking a bow. The day is done. Goodbye, everybody. You know? No
Yeah.
moral, no nothing, of course. And it's a comedy from the 90s. I don't expect a moral necessarily, you know, but like you know, Mallrats was a lot more conclusive in just like the good guys win, the bad guys lose. All good time was had by all. See you around.
Yeah.
You know? Like
Yeah,
it continued
we got
the
to
tradition.
see Michael Rooker lick his shitty fingers.
Yeah, we got to see
was
Michael Rooker lick shit off his fingers, and we got to see his whole ass at one point toward the beginning of the movie.
yeah.
And I say less raunchy, but this movie does open with one of the main characters giving a short monologue about his cousin who like shoved cats up his ass. So like,
Yeah.
you know, there's that, I guess. But like overall, I'd consider it a notable step up from Clerks. Not necessarily like in favor, but like it's definitely a higher quality movie. It's a movie with it's a higher quality movie in that it gets to be a movie with a budget that's not $25,000. Kevin Smith has proved himself at this point to be able to make more than one good movie. By like finishing Clerks and showing Clerks around and coming up with a cool second script that Universal wanted to pick up on. And so, you know, this is where we get to the issues though with Kevin Smith movies. Notice how Clerks was a Miramax movie?
Yeah.
Notice how Miramax is owned by Disney.
Oh, yeah.
Notice how Universal Pictures made Mallrats.
I see, yeah.
This is why you cannot find a copy of most of Kevin Smith's catalog together ever. Because Clerks 1 and 2 were like made under different production houses. Like every movie is made by View Askew Production. Those are the people hands on. That is Kevin Smith's little production group, who like his little troupe who like actually make the movie. And then like they're like when it comes to like executive producing, some of these films are owned by Universal. Some of these films are owned by Disney. Some of these films are owned by Warner Brothers. And like so it's just like, and a couple of them were owned by HBO, but that's not really a problem now that they're a Universal, or now that they're owned under Warner Brothers. But or now that they own Warner Brothers rather.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, is that like his catalog is so split that like even though it's all one universe, it's all very cohesive. Kevin Smith just goes to his like main guy and is just like, "Hey, and I don't want to he who shall not be named, the Voldemort of the fucking like film industry, Harvey Weinstein." He goes to him and he goes, "Hey, I want to make this movie." And he goes, "All right, let me see if I can clear that." And then, obviously, Kevin Smith knows nothing about Harvey Weinstein at this time. He didn't find out until everybody else found out, because, like, I don't know, Harvey Weinstein was just funding his movies. He wasn't asking questions about his sex life. But, you know, despite being Kevin Smith and asking a lot of questions about a lot of people's sex life on film, at least. But he goes to his guys at Studio A, being Miramax, and going, "Hey, Miramax, can we make this movie?" And Miramax goes, "I don't know, let me see. Hey, Disney, can they make this movie?" And they go, "Fucking sure, why not?" And then that's a Miramax movie. But, you know, sometimes Miramax goes, "Hey, Disney, can they make this movie?" And then Disney actually bothers to look over at the small child that's asking them for, like, a sucker, and then they see that it's, like, not a sucker, but a lighter, and they're like, "No, put that down, what the fuck? We're not making that!" You know? And then, like, they like, Disney isn't asleep at the wheel with Miramax for 5 minutes and goes, "No, you can't make that, what the fuck? We're Disney." So Miramax goes, "Hey, Kevin, we can't make the movie." And Kevin goes, "Okay. Hey, Universal, you want to make a movie?" You know, that's what happens. And so, like, you know, and then, like, obviously, if Universal says no, he goes to Warner Brothers, which is a very rare occurrence. He'll sell his movies to whoever's willing to give him a higher budget and whoever's actually willing to make the movie. Those are the two factors, is who can give me the highest budget, who wants me the most, you know? Who wants me the most, or who wants me at all, you know?
Raunchy 90s film. Who wants it?
Yeah, he's like, "I want to make a Jay and Silent Bob movie. Who's up?" You know? Because, like, he owns the Jay and Silent Bob characters, so he's allowed to go to whoever with those, I'm pretty sure.
The ending of Mallrats just ends with Jay and Silent Bob, and then they just have a monkey named Susan. And Vox and one of our friends, Vox, one of our friends and I just lost it. Because it's just like, why the what? Who? Why are you here?
Suzanne.
What?
Yeah. Suzanne was here the whole time. But no, Mallrats is a fun film. I think Mallrats is a lot of fun, and I think Mallrats is very, very good. And I think that you'll only like his movies more as we go on if you liked Mallrats more than you liked Clerks, and that you liked Clerks to begin with. You know?
Yeah.
Because I think it's pretty uphill from here. I think there are a couple slips. I think there are a couple times where it's like not necessarily a bad movie, but not my favorite. You know? Not what I'm here for, you know? But I think he comes around. I think Kevin Smith comes around, and it's very clear. I think the best thing about Kevin Smith's movies is not only that they're well made, but they're made with care. Like, they're definitely, like, you can tell that this was, like, a couple of guys' pet project is what this was, you know?
Yeah.
It's
a good time.
Good. Mallrats was also Ben Affleck's first film appearance, because Ben Affleck and Kevin Smith were just kind of, like, if I remember the story correctly, Ben Affleck was like a friend of a friend when like of like Kevin Smith, and Kevin Smith was like, "All right, I need people for this movie. I need like a tall, handsome guy." And somebody's like, "I know a tall, handsome guy." And so Ben Affleck, and then Ben Affleck was just in more movies throughout the 90s and 2000s, and then he got to be Batman. But I think it's funny that the first time we ever see Ben Affleck on screen is on a introductory like title card, where the photo of him they use is scribbled like in like a comic book cover style on the comic book cover of a like Batman parody called Buttman.
Yeah.
I think that's a really fun thing for an actor that would go on to play Batman very famously.
I think that is really funny to be one of the 4 Batman like actors and accidentally stumbling into being Buttman as well.
Yeah, dude, I think something you'll learn as we go on that Mallrats kind of makes a lot more obvious than Clerks did is that Kevin Smith is such a huge comics nerd. He's such a fucking big comic book nerd. Like he like engineered a situation where he got to dress up as like a shitty Batman and fucking like throw himself like on wires across the fucking room.
He engineered a situation where he could hang out with Stan Lee.
Yeah, he engineered a situation where he could have Stan Lee. Like he got his second movie where he actually had a budget and he puts it toward I want Stan Lee in my fucking movie. You know? And it wasn't even, to give him credit, it wasn't even like a throwaway. Stan Lee's moment in that movie is genuinely so much fun. It's such like it's such like an actual like meaningful moment in the story and not just like and I'm Stan Lee, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's so additive to the story being told. But next up we've got on our marathon, dear viewer, we've got Chasing Amy, which we'll have to talk about next week because we haven't watched it yet. So we have to sit down and watch that. It's one of my favorites when it comes to Kevin Smith. It's definitely a fan favorite of Kevin Smith's work. And I think we'll have a lot to say about that next week. And maybe even more movies than just Chasing Amy, because I assume we'll get through more than one in the next week. One might hope.
While we're watching these movies, I am a child who needs baby sensory things, and I prefer games that are like, you know, kind of quiet farming simulator area stuff. And a good one for me is I like Death Stranding. I like Death Stranding a lot. And as I've been playing Death Stranding during these movies, I've kind of had a moment where I was like, wait, so Kojima's doing a new game, a new horror game called like Overdose or something. And then he's also doing Death Stranding 2.
It's called OD.
OD. Yeah, OD is an Xbox original and will be exclusive to like Microsoft. But then he's also doing Death Stranding that's going to be exclusive to PlayStation. He's playing both sides. Like,
yeah, he's an independent third party. Like Kevin Smith in that way, just funny. Like off to the highest bidder I go, you know?
Yeah, where
whoever
like,
will give me what I want to make this game can have it, you know? And I think that's the good of console exclusivity. It's just like, you know, Kojima put out a game on both platforms. Which game do you like more? You know? It's not like Kojima games are here and Capcom games are over there, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it's like an even spread, I think, that is, I think that's the way I like it. I think, I kind of like the console exclusive. Did you know the PS5 only has 14 console exclusive games? There are 14 games that are on PS5 and nowhere else.
Yeah.
14! This console has been out for what, 4 years now?
Yeah, well, like, that also doesn't include the, like, PS4 exclusives that you can play on it, where it's like if you only have a PS5, you can also play the PS4 games. So yeah, but still,
no, like, but that's what I'm saying. 14. Do you know what that lines up with? The Virtual Boy. The Virtual Boy got 14 games and then never another one. Actually, no, I'm pretty sure the Virtual Boy got like 21. I'm pretty sure, but only like 11 of them made it to the US. But like that is just an example of just how few originals are on PS5. And I get that it's because like a lot of them are coming out to PC and this and that, but like 14, you expect me to pay $500 for a console I can play 14 games on? Which granted, you can play more on it, but there's not really a reason to buy it if there's 14 games that are exclusive to it. You know, I just don't see myself or anybody else making that purchase, really.
Yeah.
Unless they were like particularly hyped for one, you know? Like, unless there's like,
I am such a Kojima nerd.
I want the new Kojima, or I want the new God of War, or I want the new I want the new Spider-Man just that bad that I'll spend $600 to play it, you know? Or I want all three, you know?
Yeah.
Like, those are decent reasons to buy a PS5. But I don't see what are the other 14? Or, like, what are the other, like, 10 aside from those?
Yeah.
I have no idea. Like, Astro's Playroom counts.
That was a good time.
That counts as, like, one of the four. Yes, but would you want it to be one of the 14 games that you want to sell your system?
No, not at all. It was a good time, but, like, no.
And PSVR 2, is that ever happening? Did that happen? I don't remember.
It happened already, I think. Does it happen?
I think.
Look
Yeah,
that up.
no, exactly. What are they doing? What are they thinking, dude?
2.
PSVR 2, you're looking it up?
It doesn't, when is it coming out? Is it out?
That's the
I'm
thing.
not getting
Sony
anything.
doesn't fucking
I'm not
announce
finding
anything.
a place to purchase it, but also
They, like,
I'm not.
They, like, announce things, but it's like, yeah, you'll never hear about this again. It'll be out in a few years, and you'll, like you'll get hype about it now at like announcement, but like then one day, 3 to 5 years from now, you're either gonna go, how is that not out yet, or you're gonna go, that came out a couple years ago, huh? Didn't even notice. They didn't say anything about it. Sony's marketing department is gone. They are dead. They're in the fucking water. They're sitting there. Oh my god. And like, get some originals.
Buy a PSVR 2, but I can't find anything about it. That's pathetic.
Right? Like, you'd think they would say something.
It's out, yeah. I'm finding an eBay
Ridiculous.
listing for a used one.
The fact that all you're finding is an eBay listing for a used one. What the fuck? Why can't you just buy a new one?
Poshmark listing.
A Poshmark listing.
I don't know what this is.
This fucking
looks like another.
I don't even know what Poshmark is. I'm pretty sure it's like one of those like Wish.com-esque sites, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I don't know.
God.
But you can buy them new. But yeah.
You can buy them new. It's just like, but like, why would you? What are the specs? What can it do? What games are on the PSVR 2? I dread to
Apparently, it's like a good headset overall if it worked with PC VR. You know?
Yeah, like, it would be good if it worked with PC VR. But moving on, speaking of things that would be good on PC and are gonna be good on PC, there's a new Doom game.
Oh?
They're doing a third
Oh,
one.
yes!
I forget what they called it.
Yeah,
but
it's like medieval-esque, where he has like
Doom,
a shield.
Yeah, it's Doom Medieval. They're doing like a Quake thing, where they're like leaning into the medieval theming, and I think that's cool.
Yeah.
I think that could be cool. I'm excited for it. I still haven't played Eternal. I still haven't finished 2016, but you know, I think it could be cool.
Ages.
Doom the Dark Ages. That's such a cool title. I like the new Doom games. I like new Doom. I like old Doom and I like new Doom.
I like New Doom a lot. I like this one where he fucking takes the shield and it rips it like a chainsaw and it has a chainsaw around it.
It has a chainsaw around it?
Yeah,
I just saw like a poster for this game. I didn't even fucking see anything else about it. That's the thing. Are they marketing this game? I didn't know. Did they just announce it, or did it just come out? Who knows?
I'm posting a photo in our chat if you want to show it.
I can't pull it. I can't pull it. The scene won't allow. I don't have.
No.
Again, the scene's been reset. But no, yeah, the new Doom game looks interesting. But like, I just don't know. Is it coming out, or is it just announced, or what?
Doom Chainsaw. Let me see. Not Doom Chainsaw. Doom the Dark Ages.
Doom.
It has a Steam page already. Release date 2025.
Okay, so it just got announced then. I see. That's what it was. That's why people are talking about it. I wish they would have said more about it. Because like I haven't heard much of anything. Cool.
He has like a feather, like a crow feather cape in it.
That's cool. By extension, like Bethesda and by extension id seem to be just like fumbling the fucking bag lately. Back to back.
Yeah.
Starfield comes out and it's just kind of okay. And people love it at launch, and then over time they're like, yeah, no, this is actually just kind of just fine. 76 got better, but it's still just kind of alright. A little above average. And like they just like haven't released a great. They keep talking about the Elder Scrolls 5, or not Elder Scrolls 5, that's Skyrim. Elder Scrolls 6 got announced in like 10 years ago, I'm pretty sure, at this stage. They showed that like shot of like mountains and valleys, and then the Elder Scrolls 6 on the screen, and that was the full announcement. They haven't said anything about it since. I get that these games take time. Don't announce your game that early. Christ. But like, I don't know that there is an Elder Scrolls 6. I'm pretty sure there's not. I'm pretty sure there never was. You know,
Yeah.
I could be convinced. They just want to keep selling us Skyrim is what they want. And you know what? More power to them. Fuck it. Why not? If you just want to keep making Fallout games and forget about the Elder Scrolls, fine. Sure. Go ahead. I don't know. Bethesda, I'm not a big Bethesda guy anyway. So I'm not super duper fond of Bethesda.
Yeah. I don't know. Bethesda is fine enough, but like, that's really all I can say about Bethesda is that they release a decent game, but they're like, for like one of the biggest studios ever to be releasing game after game, it's like
Yeah, that sure is an opinion. They release game after game, and it makes me go, you know,
Yeah,
that sure is an opinion.
It really describes well how I feel about Bethesda. Like, I don't
apathy.
Yeah, Bethesda causes me to feel apathy. Like id Software, I like id Software. Obsidian, I like Obsidian. The Elder Scrolls, Fallout. I like Fallout. I like Fallout Story, but
yeah. A lot of the Bethesda stuff, like the Bethesda stuff. I mean, not the id stuff, not the Obsidian stuff, the Bethesda stuff. I just don't get down with it that often.
Yeah,
I like me a Fallout 3 every now and again. Couldn't get into Fallout 4. You know, I just don't have a love for it. You know, like everybody else does. I'm not in the cult. I don't let Todd Howard fucking jerk me around for like a couple years and then release kind of an okay, maybe even dog shit video game about it, and then come back in his leather jacket talking about chess club. All right, I don't care.
Yeah, Machine Games, my beloved, you need to come back and make a game that isn't fucking Wolfenstein Youngblood. Please, I will give you my life. Actually, did they make Youngblood? Let me find out. But like Wolfenstein Youngblood is bad. Oh, it was Machine Games and Arcane. Arcane got in on it and started fucking with the Wolfenstein. Like what is that called? The recipe for it. But yeah,
fucking with the Wolfenstein formula. No, I get you. I don't know. I don't mind Wolfenstein. It's one of those things that I observe from a distance of just like, I don't know. It's fine. It's Wolfenfine. You know?
Wolfenfine.
But you know what doesn't make me feel apathy and makes me feel a range of emotions, a wide, varied range of emotions.
Okay.
Real-time studio, you bitches. No,
we're so back.
So what happened was a lot has happened in this scene in the last 2 weeks. I say the last 2 weeks because I didn't bring it up with Krim around. I didn't want to like. We had a lot of things to talk about. We had a lot of things to talk about. We had a lot of things to talk about with Krim, and I didn't want to throw that in there as well. But FNAF Real Time had a music video. Okay, so at the start of June, when they announced that like, hey, we're dropping release dates, we're not doing a release date formula. We can't keep like getting close to finishing and then setting a release date and then finishing it and then moving on. We can't keep doing that. But I'll tell you what we can do. We can release substantial like content that isn't directly related to the game in the meantime, because the coders aren't done. The animators are done. The animators have been done, and they want something to do. And so we're giving them things to do. Like the animators and writers and whatnot are done. So we're just gonna have them like work on music in the background, like making little music videos related to it to tease the game and to engage with the community without having to necessarily like release the fucking game right now, just to like sort of whet your appetite, you know? And I was like, that's fine, that's okay, that's cool. I I kind of want the game, but I get that that's not, that's not the point here. They're trying to keep everybody's minds occupied, but still on the project, and release some cool, fun stuff while they do it. And so they released the first of these music videos with Tryhard Ninja of all people, and a bunch of other people participating in it. There's a lot of hands in this pot. I didn't really like the song all that much, but that's just a personal taste thing. I thought it was like okay. I thought it suffered from like too many people working on it all at once. It seemed like there were a lot of featuring credits, and then it seemed like it was pulled in many directions and ended up landing in the square mediocre category to me, without being harsh about it, because like that's my genuine opinion. It's all right, it's fine, but
it's fine.
The comments started pouring in of people going, "Oh, so we're just releasing fucking music videos now. We're just doing music videos instead of releasing the goddamn game. Why don't you guys just put the fucking game out? Why are you wasting your time working on this instead of the game?" Where it's like, dude, if you would like read the Twitter thread they put out about it, you'd see that the people that work on this music video are not the same people who are still working on the game. The people who are still working on the game are the coders, and they're nearly done. They just need time. And so to, like, sort of stall for them, they're releasing this stuff. And they're making it for you, for your benefit. The people who are, like, anticipating the video game so that, like, you have something to engage with before the game is out. They could totally just leave you to wait with literally nothing. But they didn't, And so that's the thing. It's just the, like, I don't get the hate there. I don't get people being so mean and rude toward an indie studio about it in that way. Like, I understand the frustration of, like, the game isn't out yet. You guys said it would be out 2 months ago. How could it be delayed this far? But, like, that's whatever. I understand that, like, base frustration of, man, I wish the game was out when you guys said it would be out, but whatever. There's nothing we can do about it at this point. There's nothing you guys could do about it. There's nothing we, the audience, could do about it. That's fine. That's alright. Whatever. But people just got real mad about that. And then they did a charity stream that me and you, like, tuned in for together.
Yeah.
Wherein it was very poorly planned, I will say. I will say it was very poorly planned, but having done my birthday stream recently, I've gained a little more sympathy toward being wrong and about timing and just like, shit, I need to fill in this segment. Sorry. The guy was playing Among Us. The guy hosting the charity stream was doing an Among Us segment. And the time came and I was like, oh shit, I'm late. It's 10 minutes late after the interview started. Let me tune in. And I tune in and Among Us is happening. And it's just like, okay, all right, I'm sure they're about to wrap the game. I'm sure they're just running late too. And I checked the Discord and there's like hey, our gracious host needs like 10 minutes. Can we have 10 minutes? And then the interview will start. And I was like, sure, 10 minutes. And so I sat around for 10 minutes and waited and waited and waited. And then an hour passes. And then he's finally like, okay, guys, I guess I have to cut Among Us short. And then we'll go and do the interview, And not to critique anybody else, but, like, come on, man. You're an hour late.
Yeah.
It's not, and, like, even the devs thought, like, you could tell in the way they were talking about it that, like, they weren't pleased with the fact that I'm not saying they were mad at the guy, that there was any beef there. I'm just saying that they clearly were, like, annoyed at just, like, man, I would have had, like, an hour to sit here and chat, but it's been an hour. And I almost, like, due to scheduling, I cannot stick around as long as I would like to now. But I'll talk about what I can, And then I threw my hat in the ring. I asked a question once the interview time came. But, for to not be shitty, like, I'm not gonna be mean about it. But, like, the interview was kind of haphazard and it wasn't really, I think my problem was I was expecting a Q&A about where the game is and like where the game is at development wise and not necessarily release date, because obviously they said they're not giving release windows anymore until they're certain. So, like, that's fine. Take your time. But, like, I was just asking things, or I wanted to ask things, or I was expecting people alongside me to ask things like, hey, how's the game going? What was it like working on the game? How has working on this, like, it changed your experience with doing games like this? doing fan games, I was expecting like a Q&A about the game, but it was a Q&A about the developers and about their new music video that they just put out, mostly.
Not even that. Like 70% of the questions was like, "How do you feel about chocolate cake?" And it's like, what? Huh?
I was like, all right, chocolate cake, I think it's all right. And everybody was like, yeah, I guess chocolate cake is fine. And that was the answer to that question. And it's like, what are your opinions on the UK? And it's just like, the guy who hosted the thing, I believe, was British. And so he was like, I like the UK. I'm a UK enjoyer. And then like, the developers were like, yeah, no, I guess, the UK is all right. Moving on. And like, it was like 10 of those questions. And then like, they talked about like their music taste and like what it was like to work on the music video. And that was interesting enough. Like, that was semi-related. But it's like, I came hoping to hear things about the video game. And I heard nothing about the video game the entire time. And I was just like, okay, well, maybe I misunderstood. That's probably on me. Oh, well. There goes that. But Upshot. That was
unfortunate. As an unfortunate stream, because then it was like halfway through the segment, they did like okay, we're doing our redeems now instead of like waiting until after to do the charity redeems. So it's just like half of the Q&A was cut via the stream guy
the streamer doing push-ups. Yeah.
But
like, I get that. That's charity. You can't get around doing your donation redeems. Could have been timed better, but oh well.
Yeah.
Like, the thing about it, though, the upshot is they're releasing a demo soon. They're doing a big stream for charity again on, like, the 13th, hosted by the actual real-time folks. If I'm correct about that, I'm pretty sure. It's definitely hosted by somebody different, if I, like from reading the posts, anyway. And it's definitely, it's more real-time centric. They're releasing, from what I gathered, they said there's a demo that's going to be released same day. It's going to be a night 1 demo. And then they started talking about a 6-hour demo that will only be out to the streamer, And I was just like, oh, wait, is the demo they just announced? Because they didn't announce that it would be for the public. Did they just announce a demo that's not going to be publicly released? Because if that's the case, man, I feel kind of bad that they would, like, announce it as, we're releasing a new demo, and not, hey, we're going to have a stream where we're showing this off, But no, there is a public demo coming on, like, I believe the 13th is when the demo drops. I don't know if the 6-hour demo or, like, the night 1 demo are the demos that we're getting. Like, which of those are we getting? Are they the same demo? Or which of these is for the stream? Are they both coming out? I don't know. I genuinely don't know.
Yeah.
All I know is there will be a public demo on the 13th. They just haven't communicated that very well from their community Discord.
But that's good to know that they are making progress.
They are making progress, and I'm excited to see what comes of it. I just want to play the game, man. I just want to play the fucking game. I'm just like anxiously awaiting this game to come out, and I'm not impatient. I'm not trying to be impatient and force like a indie dev team to fucking knock something up for me, fast. I'm just saying that, like, I don't know, I'm waiting around for the game to come out, and I'm getting like at everyone pings that are kind of silly in their Discord. It's just like at everyone, basically. And it's like, dude, come on. I'm expecting something actually important at some stage here.
Please,
there's an everyone ping in their Discord right now.
Holy shit! Live update, maybe?
No,
game is out right now?
It's just as a reminder, please show respect and consideration to the people present in this Discord and to our development team. I understand the idea of a delay can be frustrating, but that's not a reason to be a jerk. And now this isn't saying the game is delayed again, just that you shouldn't let the idea of that happening cause you to be a jerk. Fair enough. Okay, I read that and I was like, oh no, did they delay it again? They're targeting me from this recording that they can't hear
right now.
Dude, if we were live, I wouldn't doubt it, but like, man, dude. Okay. But no, that's where the real-time thing is. The demo, if they don't delay it or something, the demo should be out by next podcast episode, and I'll probably play it. So like, I'll let you guys know what that was like, I suppose, and we'll talk about that next week. It's funny that, like, FNAF Real Time has been such a consistent topic on the podcast.
Yeah, FNAF Real Time and Console Craft.
Yeah, and now Console Craft is over, so now it's just a wait for FNAF Real Time to come out.
Yeah,
Please,
really.
please.
Please. But speaking of FNAF games, and specifically FNAF fan games,
Did you want to
I have a
talk about a
special.
Bite at Freddy's again?
I do want to talk about a Bite at Freddy's again, because
don't see what you haven't said yet, but let's go. Let's do it.
So I wanted to talk about it because I learned some more about it, and it's very, very silly. It is a fan game that isn't quite at like, what's that game called? The egg one. One Night at Flumpty's, that one. It's not quite One Night at Flumpty's level of silly, but it is silly in the way that their Bite of 87 is some kid took a bite out of their Fredbear, and that was like a traumatic experience for the workers. Was a kid like fucking eating the animatronic,
taking a chomp out of him.
Yeah. And I think it's very silly, and they're very like, it's a cutesy design, and I like the way that they're going with it, and I think that you should play it. And it's got an interesting system where it's much more animated than any of the other FNAF games that I've seen. And it's got very unique things where instead of like, oh, I gotta play the music box so they don't attack me, it's like Chico will show up in your office and you have to have a standoff with her because she's like cowboy themed, and then you have to you have to shoot first. And I just think it's silly. I think it's silly, and I think it's a good time. And I think that more FNAF games should be willing to just like, yeah, this is like not really taking itself too seriously, you know?
Yeah, no, I like when games like that can have a joke. Have a haha joke.
Have a haha.
Have a funny.
Yeah. Have a funny. But that's all I have to say about that. If you have another topic to
I have absolutely nothing to talk about related to that, but I do have things. You want to talk about popcorn buckets?
Well,
what the fuck is the deal with popcorn buckets? I've had this on my topics list as a thing for like a few weeks now, since Garfield came out. The new Garfield movie came out, and people were talking about, oh, I gotta go get the popcorn bucket for Garfield. And it's like, dude, at first, like, people are talking about the Dune popcorn bucket. Before that, people were talking about some other popcorn bucket that you could get. I've just noticed over the past, like, 6 months to a year, popcorn bucket collecting is becoming more and more of a thing when it comes to, like, I guess it's like a souvenir you can get from the movies. But, like, these, like, cheap plastic popcorn buckets are, like, becoming, like, collector's items for some reason. And it's like, I don't want to yuck anybody's yum here, but it's just a little weird to me. It's just a little, it's like, it's odd, not because it's odd. Like, I get it. Like, I've seen, like, people collect stamps, and people collect, like, those, like, plastic cups you get at movie theaters before, as, like, there are a few obsessives who do that. But, like, and I've even seen popcorn bucket collecting. It's just weird how quickly it's been on the rise lately.
Yeah.
It's just very strange how quickly that has like become a thing where it's like, oh well, you gotta get the popcorn bucket. You gotta get the like Deadpool and Wolverine popcorn bucket when that movie comes out later this month. You know?
Because of like the Dune and the Deadpool and Wolverine Deadpool bucket, it's brought that like talking about collecting those reminds me of that guy who collects like just the weirdest sex toys.
My private collection.
Yeah. It's like this is a Tomater fleshlight. What? Why do you?
Where did you get this? Why did someone manufacture this?
How did the person who manufactured this not like? How are they not dead via Disney? Like, I feel like Disney would like murder them instantly.
Yeah, you gotta run through some real hoops to get that one going.
Oh my god. How do you fall into collecting those? How do you get enough like unique fleshlights of bizarre characters that you're like, yeah, I need to get a Woody one to finish off my collection?
The answer is autism, dude. I hate to tell you. The answer is somebody's special interest is fleshlights. I hate to inform you.
Oh man,
like, that's why there are fleshlight collectors out there.
I got the Tomater fleshlight autism.
God,
that's rough.
Just polished off my Pixar set today.
Gross.
God.
Gross.
Fucked up,
man.
dude. Absolutely
Fucked up.
gross stuff. But it's just like people collect weird shit. I get it, but like, and I get popcorn bucket collecting. I just don't get why it's suddenly such a thing to get like $20-$30 popcorn buckets. It feels like industry plant-esque, where like the movie, it's like an operation for movie theaters to sell more of these gimmick popcorn buckets. You know?
Yeah, like what? Who cares this much about this like cheap plastic popcorn? Actually, hold on.
Like I think
I've
some
got
of
a
the designs are
plastic
pretty cool.
popcorn bucket. I've got a plastic popcorn bucket from Disneyland on my shelf right now, from
That's
like
from
years
Disneyland.
ago.
That's different. That's
That's
different.
true,
That's like
that's
a theme
true.
park. You didn't just go down to your local like fucking Regency or AMC theater. Like people are talking about like, oh, do I want to go to the AMC theater where they have this popcorn bucket design, or do I want to go to the Regency where they have this one? I'll just go to both. I'll go get tickets for both so that I can see it twice and get both popcorn buckets. And it's like, what are you talking about? Why do you care? What is going on?
Yeah. Why do you give
know?
so much of a shit about a popcorn bucket of a movie that you haven't seen yet?
Yeah, a movie that, like, why would you watch a movie? Why? You don't have to watch the movie twice to get both popcorn buckets. You can just buy the popcorn bucket. You know that, right? You know?
Yeah.
But it's just like, some people go to the movies more than once, and that's fine. But, like, no, yeah, that's about all my comment about popcorn buckets, is it's weird how quickly that, like, fad has come. I don't know when it's going to pass. Like, it feels like a bubble that could just pop any day. It feels like one of those things that, like, Twitter is gonna start, like, remember, like, ugh, do people still fucking pick up popcorn buckets at the goddamn movie theater, and then everybody's gonna hate it suddenly out of nowhere? That's how that's how fads end these days.
Logan Paul is gonna pick up collecting popcorn buckets to fucking launder money, I swear to God.
Jesus Christ, like the Pokemon card thing so many years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Speaking of content creators, though, we're talking about U.S. politics for a minute, because today, or yesterday, actually, Mr. Beast just said, hey, if they lower the age requirement, I'd run for president right now. In fact, I probably will run when I'm 35. Dude, the fact that that's looking like a golden opportunity prospect to me.
Man, I don't want
the fact that a YouTuber, I'd be okay with Mr. Beast president, I think. I genuinely know, how do you beat the guy who's known for curing the blind and building homes for the homeless?
But I'm imagining like a
YouTube video.
$20 trillion to make every homeless person rich for a day, and it's like, yeah, that's awesome.
I've been seeing people make joke thumbnails. I've been seeing people make joke thumbnails about it of just like, I packed 100 justices into the Supreme Court, or like fucking, or fucking, I signed 1,000 bills in one day, or fucking, like, or something along those lines of just like using his presidential power to do stupid shit. But like, you can't tell me he wouldn't at least get things done, and in a positive way. Come on.
I mean, yeah, the problem is that, like, yes, I think that change is good, and radical change is very important. Radical change has to be a very particular thing, though. Like, you gotta take steps in the right direction for things to not go off the rails real quick, you know?
Jed, the president has been elected, like, godlike power and immunity over the law. We don't get more off the rails than this without stopping existing as a nation. I'm gonna tell you, like, genuinely, like, I can't believe I'm defending like a YouTuber presidency, but like, come on, it's like he's a young guy and he's got ideas.
Oh man, he's better than
either of the candidates right now. Yeah,
I mean,
come on.
like it's. Can we have a dog for president? I want a dog in there.
No.
No,
we can't have dog president. No, I don't want dog president. I want a real human being running our country. I don't want to be more of a joke. But I, like, at the very least, you know, make it a guy. Make it like a real human being, man or woman, go for it. I don't know, man. But
what, you're telling me like Joe Biden isn't good enough for you? His like 20-minute pause on stage before talking about how he like destroyed Medicare, like fucking evaporated Medicare.
Dude,
What
it's
a like a pathetic debate.
I don't want to get too deep into politics right now, but like we're in a spot where it's just like the comedic potential of it is too high to not say anything. But like, I think like there was a very funny thing because like whether Joe Biden is going to be replaced as a candidate has been talked about a lot in the news recently. And there's a very funny image with like a quote from him on it, for like an article, I think from a Deserto article that was just like, quote, it was an image of Joe Biden making a face, and it just said, I cannot be more clear about this. I am running. And that was all it said. Not running for president, just like, I cannot, let me say this as clearly as I possibly can. I am running. You know?
Fucking
He's full sprinting,
like
dude.
running, dude. Sprinting. I don't know if that game where I like banged on my desk a little bit. Dude, Joe, I'm imagining like a decrepit old man going like 10,000 miles per hour. Very
I'm picturing him doing like the fucking Flash run, yeah.
Yeah. Oh
like
man.
the hands out, just fucking, he's going for it.
Chocolate chip.
But yeah, no, I guess that's
man.
U.S. politics talk.
Yeah, we'll wrap it there.
While we're in like making fun of old people territory, Ocean Gate 2.
I don't know anything about that.
This is from a few weeks ago. You remember Ocean Gate, the like
I
they were the
Ocean
company
Gate.
behind the like Titanic sub.
Yeah, I remember
thing.
Ocean Gate.
Which I think is absolutely wild to look back on as a cultural moment. But the guy, the CEO of Ocean Gate was just like, yeah, we want to do another one. We want to do another one just to prove that was a fluke. We want to prove that we can do it and it can go okay.
Didn't he die in the sub?
Well, like the current CEO, like the current guy running things,
oh my God.
is like, yeah, we want to do it again. I'll go, dude, maybe. We want to prove that we can do it. And it's like, yep, we should keep feeding billionaires to the ocean, I think.
If I was given the Ocean Gate company, I would like put that shit down or use it to like sell like silly shit. Of it's like here's a what are we doing with the Ocean Gate name at this point? We're selling model kits of like that thing where you heat up a Coke can and then you like put it over top of water and the pressure inside the Coke can that's heated up like fucking like crushes it. Yeah, we're selling models of those, but it looks like the submarine. Like that's the shit I would be doing. I wouldn't double down. Like you're asking for failure.
Mm-hmm.
I
don't see how anybody could ever believe this to be a good idea in any capacity. But that's where we're at. That's where we're at.
The world is so
Gate
funny
2.
recently.
The world is a joke, and I love it. It continues to be a fucking like parody of itself over and over again. But things that don't continue to be a parody of themselves, and things that are doing quite well, the Superman character and franchise.
Oh yeah?
I'd like to talk about this for a moment.
I'm not a Superman guy, so you go ham.
So, first things first, we got to look at the new Superman suit. I don't know if you saw it, but we've had a really good look at Superman and what Superman is up to. I say that like he's a real guy, but just like we've gotten a good look at James Gunn's Superman film. And of course, James Gunn, most known for doing like Marvel stuff, mostly revolving around the Guardians of the Galaxy franchise. And with how bright and vibrant those movies are, I thought he might do a very good Superman or a very bad Superman. It really just depends. But the more I see about it, the more I'm enthused. The more I'm certain it's gonna be good. They're doing the cat out of the tree thing. They're doing like the more we get like we're getting like leaked set photos of it, of just like everything going down, and I appreciate it. I think it's coming along well, and I can't wait for it to come out. We've gotten a couple promotional images from it, of course. I'm just waiting on a full release. I'm waiting on that movie to come out, because it's looking like the casting is very good. It's looking like the plot that they're pitching is very good. It's looking like in general it's going to be a quality product.
Hell
it's looking like I'm very excited to see it. I can't wait for it to come out. It's like a reintroduction because we've been in sort of this dark Superman era where like we've been doing variations on evil Superman since the 2000s, and now it seems like people are really, really hankering for some just basic, normal Superman. You know, just some bog standard, absolute classic Superman.
Yeah. I hate that people compare Omni-Man as this is an evil Superman trope, because it's like, no, it's not. He doesn't have any of the same power sets. He doesn't have the heat vision. All he is he is strong.
He did laser vision at one point, didn't he?
No, he doesn't. He doesn't do laser vision.
Okay,
Viltrumites don't do laser
Jed,
vision.
I need you to run through the fact that Viltrumites are basically Kryptonians. Viltrum is Krypton. Viltrum is Krypton if it were much more active about like taking over the universe.
Krypton doesn't take over the universe, though, do they? Aren't they They do.
Okay, so the thing about Krypton, there are some interpretations of Krypton where it's like Krypton is peaceful and nice and great, and like that's just how Krypton is for most of its history until very recently. Very recently, as in when Superman is born. So Superman is born, and shortly after Superman's birth, what happens is traditionally in the Superman story is that his father is like one of the good Kryptonians, and like a bad like fascist state government is slowly being installed, and he wants to fight it, being one of the higher ups and one of the more respected members of Kryptonian society at the time. But like everybody's turning against him, the government is corrupt, and basically Krypton go evil. And then like the corruption of the government eventually leads to, you know, just after Superman's birth, the explosion of the goddamn planet, because they just kill their planet instantly. And it's a comment about politics, it's a comment about climate change, it's a comment about the world, which was actually very progressive when it was written in like the fucking 40s. But like, you know, that's sort of the sentiment of it, is that if Krypton were to continue as it were, it would have become what Viltrum is. And there are some interpretations where Krypton never leaves. Krypton is still around and fucking about, you know?
But like, the thing that bugs me about it is that, like, yeah, Viltrum was that, but the Superman trope is like a boy with strong powers lands and like an alien boy who is very strong lands on a planet and, you know, is raised there and becomes like a hero. Omni-Man was a whole ass grown adult prepared to like fucking colonize the place, is why it bugs me.
So they've changed a couple things to make Omni-Man a bad guy. If Superman had been raised under the Kryptonian government of the time, he would have grown up into what Omni-Man was. He would have gone through the Omni-Man story, given that he were to be sent to Earth as an adult. Because like that tends to be where it goes, is like there are surviving Kryptonians from that explosion other than Superman. Some of them are in the fucking like Shadow Realm, whatever the Shadow Realm equivalent is. Because like Zod, is Zod a Kryptonian? I forget. But
I don't know.
Like there's like a couple evil Kryptonians, and then there's obviously like Supergirl and Crypto, the super dog. And you know there are various other Kryptonians that survive for the sake of having like Kryptonian plot lines. And almost every single Kryptonian who shows up in a Superman plotline as an adult to Earth, mostly to confront Kal-El about just like, hey, you're not only are you missing out on your birthright, we could take this fucking planet. We could have it. Like they all have this like conqueror's mentality, you know? That's like very, very culturally ingrained into them, that Superman does not have because he was raised on Earth. You know, all of his memories are of living on Earth. So like I think it is very clear to me that Omni-Man isn't quote unquote just evil Superman. Like there's more to him than that. But to say that Omni-Man isn't the evil Superman trope is like inherently wrong. They do more with it. Than like something like The Boys does, where like you know, he's not just evil Superman. He's evil Superman having an arc to becoming a good guy, you know, and like going through a redemption arc. Also, Robert Kirkman loves building evil characters and making them into good guys eventually through like a real fucked up redemption arc. Mostly through the I miss my wife path, it seems. We're 2 for 2 on that one.
We're 2 for 2, baby. Careful on spoilers, but
Yeah, careful on spoilers. Spoilers for
Yeah,
like The
if
Walking
you
Dead.
care about
But like
Walking Dead
3 for
spoilers
3
and
depending.
Invincible spoilers, we're gonna give ourselves another 10 minutes like we did last
No, no,
time.
no, no, no. We don't need 10
No?
minutes. We don't need 10
Okay.
minutes. We're just not gonna spoil it. It's fine. I
Okay.
think 3 for 3 maybe because we're so close. We got 20 minutes of show left here, Jed. I don't want to dedicate 10 minutes of
Oh
it
yeah,
to
that's true. That's
retreading The
true.
Walking Dead. But like Robert Kirkman loves his bad guy turned good guy character arcs. That's already a spoiler for Invincible, but that one's already out there now. So sorry. Go watch Invincible.
Womp
It's
womp.
really good. But like anyway, we've been doing Dark Superman. We've been doing Evil Superman since the 2000s. And it's been a plotline in Superman comics since Superman. Just like the idea
Yeah.
that like Superman is like a Superman. He's more powerful than all the weapons on this fucking earth. If he just suddenly decided to be evil, we couldn't do anything about it. That sort of paranoia plotline has existed forever with Superman because they used him as like a frame for like nukes at one point of just like, hey, you know, like in the same way that having Superman around, just because we have access to Superman and Superman is on the side of, you know, not only the American people, but just people around the globe. Like if he like were to be turned against us, it would be like destructive for
Detrimental.
everybody. You know, we need to find a way to make that not happen. You know, that's a concern in Superman comics forever. But like we've started to lean into that evil Superman trope and actually explore it, and that was fun at first, but I'm really getting sick of it. I'm really getting sick of the fact that there are people who are fans of Henry Cavill's Superman who genuinely think that's what Superman is and that's what he's supposed to be because they've only seen those movies.
Yeah.
And it's like that's not at all what Superman is, I'll have you know. But we're getting a new Superman movie where Superman is a good guy and Superman is like farm boy Clark Kent once more and not like fucking like depressed brooding Batman 2 basically. Which
Batman,
I appreciate.
but like less interesting.
Batman, but with less things going on. Yeah. Because, like, Superman as a character is very interesting. There's a lot you can explore with Superman as a character of just, like, personal familial history, what it means to have that much power, what it means to, like, plant yourself as a protector and when the burden of responsibility falls upon you. Things like that. Like, I could go on and on about, like, the plot lines that can be explored with a Superman. And I would love to write for Superman someday. I would definitely... Like, I'd find that to be a fun and interesting thing to do my own take on it at some point. But, you know, that'll probably... That's not happening in any official capacity.
I think that the reason that Dark and Brooding doesn't work for Superman like it does for Batman is that, like, the Dark and Brooding works because it's like, yeah, you can't save everyone. Like, you just can't. Superman almost can. Like, he can do a lot more than Batman, too.
He can do a lot more than Batman. He can do a lot more than Batman on the, like, fighting crime front. But, like, he genuinely, like, there are, like, arcs and arcs dedicated to just, like, Superman can't save everybody either. There's no amount of power that gives you the ability to round the clock save people. You have to, just do what you can, you know? Like, that's a fun plot to explore. But speaking of exploring these plots, in anticipation for the movie, I've been catching up with My Adventures with Superman, like Adult Swim anime Superman, basically like anime, but obviously made by a North American studio and made by some of the people who worked on the Owl House. It's pretty good. I finished season 1 just last night. It's pretty good. I like it. I like that they're doing a lot of twists and turns. They're doing a lot of twists and turns and making a real show of it. And I highly recommend it, you know, on top of, like, I kind of rolled my eyes because they did, like, a multiverse plot in season 1, and it's just like, dude, let Superman breathe. Why can, like, that's what I don't like about new superhero media in current year, is just that, like, established franchises doing the, like, multiverse thing is fine, but when a new character comes along and then their, like, first installment, they're doing multiverse stuff, like, aside from Spider-Verse, because that was, like, the whole point of that movie. Like, that movie kicked off the trend and is the example. Like, they did that shit out of intention, you know? But, like, I feel like other franchises, when they try to do that, it's like, oh, but the executives want a multiverse story, too, so we have to make a multiverse thing happen in season 1 of this, like, Superman series, where Superman doesn't even know all of his powers yet, you know? And it's just like, dude, give it a fucking minute. Push that
Yeah.
shit to season 2 at the earliest. Why are we doing this now? But like, there's a multiverse, and they do a little multiverse plot. But other than that, it's very good, and I liked it. And there are very few moments in it that I would consider less than its best, And it had me hooked, and I was watching it. And there's a season 2, and I believe season 3 is running currently, if I'm not mistaken. And I've been having a lot of fun with that. It's been a fun show to watch.
That's good. Yeah, I haven't heard much about it other than when it came out. So it's good to know that it is doing good.
Yeah, no, I didn't know they got more than one season yet, and that was exciting to find out that there's a whole second season. Because I only watched the first episode, and I was like, I'll come back to this, and now I'm coming back to it. But spoilers for that.
Mm-hmm.
Spoilers for that. There's a very funny moment in the show because, like, obviously they do the like Lois Lane finds out Clark Kent is Superman at some point, but they do a twist on it this time where it's not like, oh, you're Superman, that's cool. Where they instead do the like, why the fuck would you lie to me? Why have you been keeping this from me? For what? Mm-hmm. And it's like, it seems very unjustified, and frankly, it's not the way I would have gone with it, but the way the plotline wrapped actually made it make a lot of sense, and it was very fun exploration of like a fault in Lois Lane's character and a fault in Clark Kent's character, and I thought it wrapped real nice. But there was a point in that plotline where it wrapped, and Clark and Lois are having a conversation where she's like, okay, so like Jimmy Olsen is Superman's best friend. That is his fucking like. That is his assignment when in the comics is just Jimmy Olsen, Superman's best friend. And so in the show we also have a Jimmy Olsen as part of our main trio of characters, and he's Clark's best friend, obviously. And like Lois pins him, and like they get talking about it, and they go, "Okay, does Jimmy know? Does Jimmy know that you're Superman?" And he goes, "No, Jimmy doesn't know that I'm Superman." And I've had to try really, really hard to keep him from knowing. And then a few episodes later, like Jimmy walks in and Superman's like in his super suit, if I remember correctly, or doing something Superman related. And like it let slip in front of Jimmy Olsen that like, yeah, Clark is Superman, and it's just like, oh shit. And he goes, dude, I know you're Superman. What?
Yeah,
I've known for
no
dude. The first day I met you, you ripped one of the fucking dorm like door handles off the metal door in college. I remember. You tried to play it off like the screws were loose, but no, you ripped it in half, dude. I remember. And he just goes, "Oh, well, the screws could have been loose,"
Yeah.
But he was just like, "Dude, I knew immediately. I've just like I figured it was a sensitive subject for you, and you didn't want to talk about it, so I didn't push."
Yeah.
And because he's like, I figured at some point you would tell me, And it's just like. And that was such a funny moment. I'm just like, Jimmy, I have something to tell you, and it's like, no, is this about you being Superman?
Sherlock?
Yeah. And I think that was a very funny moment. Anyway, long story short, Superman as a franchise is back in the good graces in my eyes, and is doing very well for traditional Superman fans, and going very well. And I'm having a lot of fun. I'm having a lot of fun keeping up with it.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of shows that are doing well that have come out recently, Umbrella Academy. I watched through it. I think I had mentioned that I had watched through a little bit of it, whether on stream or on the podcast. I finished all that's out right now. It's a good show. I like it a lot. I'm big on Umbrella Academy. I think they do a good job with a lot of things. I think that the way they handled one of their actors being trans over the course of 2 seasons by just like, yeah, character's trans now. Anyway, moving on. I feel like that was kind of
the best you can do.
Yeah, like it was a bit rushed in the story because it was literally like, yeah, the world's ending. Oh, I'm trans now, and it's like, oh, okay, and everybody just kind of moves on. Like, it's better than forcing an actor to play someone they aren't, for sure. But like, I genuinely I think that's the best you could do.
I know what you mean, but just like, it's so much better than forcing an actor to play someone they aren't, and it's like, that's the job. Like, I know what you mean, because in this context it means something different, but like, I think it's so fucking funny to say that, like, nobody would want to force an actor to play somebody they're not.
Yeah, of course. You get
that's a funny statement. I get what you mean, though. I get what you mean, yeah.
Yeah, where it's just like it's got to get grading at some point to be like misgendered for hours at a time on set. But yeah, no, I think they handled that really well, and I think that the story is very interesting, and I'm excited to see it go further. I like the evil superhero trope that comes with that comes with the Umbrella Academy to a degree, where it's just like, you know, these people have incredible amounts of power, and that some people will use it for bad, you know.
I just hate that we keep doing evil superheroes instead of making like. So they're making
Yeah.
villains. They're making villains is what they're doing, but they're making the villain. They're attempting to make villains more compelling by making them evil heroes instead. And it's just like, dude,
Yeah.
as fun as that sounds once or twice, like every major superhero franchise is doing that right now, with the exception of Marvel. Like every single one of them are doing that, and I can't take it anymore. I've had too many. Put it down.
Yeah.
You know, the reason I like
like
Invincible so much is because like Invincible stands against that. It's just like, no, having this tremendous power doesn't make you evil. You're just a fucked up guy, you know?
Yeah, no, dude, you're just fucked up.
Anyway.
And like the Umbrella Academy goes into it in a different way as well, of just like the main evil isn't really an evil. It's just like, I've got too much power and I was never really taught how to deal with it, and sometimes it goes out of control, and I need to work on that, as opposed to like, I'm morally gray because the world is morally gray, you know. It's like, man, do something interesting with it, you know. But anyway,
Yeah,
I like the Umbrella Academy.
Go somewhere with it.
That's
The
my
Umbrella Academy is
superhero
good.
topic of the day. Yeah, you should watch it, Vox. But yeah,
Yeah, I'll definitely
That's,
report back next week with more Superman at least, because I gotta finish that show, and I'm sure I'll be another season deep by the end of the week. 'Cause they're like 20-minute episodes, so it's not a whole lot to get down in one go. I'm sure I'll be back with more of that next week. But something we've yet to talk about, because like we would have talked about it last week, but Doctor Who's been over for a couple weeks now, and we've yet to even talk about the new season. And I wanted to wait for it to be over. That's by design. I wanted to wait for it to be over before we talked about it. Just as like so we could talk about it as a whole without having to make it a week-to-week topic. As much as I love talking about Doctor Who, I feel that like it was a shorter season, and it's like I could just wait the 8 weeks, and then or at the stage that we started doing the podcast, I'll just wait the extra 4 weeks, and we can talk about the whole thing all at once. I think it was good. I like new Doctor Who. People are mad about it. People are seething. I don't want to get into spoiler territory.
That it was a little bit out of its ass with the last few episodes, but I did enjoy it.
I still had fun. Yeah. Despite my opinions on how certain plot lines concluded, I still had fun.
Yeah, I don't think that it ruined the whole season. Boom is still genuinely one of my favorite episodes in media, just in general. Like Boom was really good. Yeah, like I don't think that one like mild fluke at the end of the major plot of the season is enough to say that the whole season was bad, you know, or that that RTD is doing a bad job.
They didn't quite stick the landing in terms of satisfaction. In terms of spectacle, I think they did, but in terms of satisfaction in the plot line, I don't think Russell T Davies quite stuck the landing. And if you don't know what I'm talking about and you haven't seen it, go watch the new Doctor Who. It's an all right starting point.
Go watch all of
for
Doctor
a new
Who.
viewer. Go watch all of Doctor Who, preferably from like, not necessarily from 1963 onward, but pick it up from 2005. I think from 2005 you'll have a lot of fun as like from an approachability standpoint. But there's a lot of good stuff there, and I think you would enjoy it, dear viewer. I give you one of my favorite franchises in the entire world. Go check it out. But the new season is good. I liked Ncuti Gatwa as the new Doctor. I liked Millie Gibson as the new companion. I liked their, like, a lot of people critiqued this of just like, oh, it seemed like they're like, because the actors were already friends, you know, it like that chemistry kind of seeps through, and it makes it seem like, you know, their friendship as characters moved too fast, and it's like, that's fine. I'm kind of fine with that. We do the slow burn companion stuff so often that like I'm willing to accept just this once, a very quick, like, immediate, like, strangers to friends instant arc, you know, like within like an episode or two, because like,
yeah, I can live with that.
I can live with that. People are also talking about how they didn't give our companion Ruby Sunday much to do, but and they didn't give her much of a character beyond her place in the plot line. But I feel like Millie Gibson, the actress's performance, just elevated that character to a place where it was like she was a totally believable character to me, just because she wasn't spouting about like what other hobbies outside of the Doctor she had, or like what career interests she had, or whatever. You know, she's in a band.
Yeah.
She travels with the Doctor. That's about all we know about her. But she's such a fun actress to see work on screen. Same thing with Ncuti Gatwa as the Doctor. He plays the Doctor very well. He plays a very new interpretation of the Doctor, where he's very joyful, he's very free, he's very like friendly, and he's like, he loses a bit of that, like he loses pretty much all of that like standoffishness the Doctor usually has, even in the classic era. Because the new era is known for making the Doctor brood a lot, but I feel like this era allows him to open up emotionally as a character, and allows Ncuti Gatwa to really bring himself to the role. Because a lot of people complained that it was like, oh, it's like Ncuti is playing Ncuti and not playing the Doctor, and it's like, yeah, that's what playing the Doctor is, dumbass. Yeah,
that's all the Doctors.
Like, you have to bring a considerable amount of yourself as an actor to it. You know, no, I think the 12th Doctor is less Peter Capaldi and more how Peter Capaldi perceives the Doctor, and I think that's very interesting because he's a very long-term fan of the show.
Of course, but
every actor brings at least a considerable portion of themselves into the role, and I feel like, frankly, there's some other motivations, maybe not racism necessarily, but there are some other motivations people have to saying it's bad that this actor specifically brings what he usually does to the role. Whereas with other actors, they were fine with it, you know?
Yeah, because we had a similar sentiment happen with the 13th Doctor, and
with Jodie Whittaker. And it's like, nobody was mad when, like, in between then, when the 14th Doctor, played by David Tennant, was just David Tennant, basically.
Yeah.
Having a little romp around. You know? Nobody was mad about that. Because people like David Tennant as an actor. Like, he's a well-liked figure, so nobody wanted to say anything negative about him in that way. But, like, it seems like a lot of people seem like they're looking for excuses to hate the new season. But I genuinely think if you sit down and you watch it, and you don't let some Twitter motherfucker get in your ear and tell you it sucks, then you'll be having a great time from beginning to end.
Yeah, for sure. And definitely go and watch Doctor Who. Don't listen to anybody online. Don't listen to us. Never listen to the podcast again. In fact,
tune out.
But
leave.
Leave.
I'm kidding.
Get out of here. But
no, Jed, we can't drive our audience away.
I think it's about time that we get out of here, at least.
Yeah, it's almost wrap time, but I guess we can go ahead and wrap now. You want to go?
It's just about that time. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching today. We had a fun episode today. We had a very, a very interesting recording
episode
session.
And a half.
Yeah, we had a very interesting recording session. But thank you guys for tuning in. You can check us out every day except for today. At Sunday at 3 p.m. We're gonna be posting. Every weekday or every week Sunday 3 p.m.
Every
on
week
Spotify
at Sunday.
I
need to clarify. Not every day.
Week. No,
not every day. Not every weekday.
Sunday. Every Sunday at 3 p.m. You'll find us on YouTube, Spotify. You can watch all of our other episodes as well. Which, if you're watching this episode without watching the other episodes, what the fuck are you doing? Go back. Go back there.
Go. I recommend those. Those are of high enough quality, you know?
Yeah, they're fine.
I don't know if I'll recommend them in 100 episodes from now, but like as for now, they're on quality. They're on par with this episode. If you like this one, you'll like those.
You could find if you like us just in general, you can go down into the description and check out our Vox's card and my link tree and see us on Twitch and Twitter and anywhere else that we're doing things. And yeah, we don't have a guest for today, but we'll have a guest for next week.
The card account.
Yeah. But yeah. Anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll see y'all next week. Sorry about the episode being late.
Yeah. See you guys next week on time. Goodbye.
Yes. Bye.